Do you feel like you're constantly living on a timer? Do you feel rushed all the time and you're not really sure why? That's because abusers like to control your autonomy. You have to be available for them at any given point of time. Now, there's things that you have to rebuild and go a little bit deeper than the average person who hasn't come out of an abusive relationship, because the things that abusers really knock down in you is something, it's a bit more extra work. You have to really unpack all the things that they've done so well at destroying to the ground. And then that's when you can kind of come up to an even playing field and then do the other things that are going to help you. So today we're going to talk about what autonomy is exactly, why it's so important for you to have that regained control of it, how to recognize and challenge your limiting beliefs, how to set personal boundaries, how to make decisions independently, and also how to pursue and rediscover your personal goals and interests, which is going to help you regain that autonomy. As always, I will list my video chapters here so that you can skip through to whatever part of the video you feel is necessary for you. So let's get into it. The first thing is, let's understand what autonomy is. What is it? Basically, in one simple word that can sum it up, is it's your independence. It's generally just understood to completely be your own person. It's to live your life according to your wishes. It's having the ability to make your own choices and decisions and mistakes without it being influenced or manipulated by external forces or other people. And it's so important to have your autonomy under your own control, because this is how you make your own choices, how you make your own decisions, how you feel confident in your decisions, whether or not they're good ones or bad ones. Having the ability to make your own choices is crucial after leaving an abusive or controlling relationship, because it's going to help you rebuild that self-worth. Once you're able to take back this control, it's going to, at the same time, simultaneously help you feel confident enough to create the life that you want to create. It does this because slowly, bit by bit by bit, each decision that you make independently on your own, it's going to help you remember that you are capable, you can do hard things, you can do anything that you want. But when this has been absolutely shot to the ground by a controlling relationship, we got to start somewhere. So this is what we're doing today. So let's move into how to actually rebuild your autonomy. Now, this is to start by recognizing and challenging the limiting beliefs that you have about yourself. These would have 100% been developed during your abusive and controlling relationship by your abuser. These misbeliefs most likely do not originate from yourself. They come from the people in your life and the things that you hear about what they say, or the things that they believe about you, that get programmed into your brain. So it's time to recognize them, unpack them, challenge them. Now, these things are the negative things that you think about yourself, believe about yourself, say about yourself, and the negative assumptions that you may not even realize are subconsciously holding you back. These are things like, if you find yourself thinking or believing, I'm not smart enough, I'm not confident enough, I'm not worthy enough, or I can't even make a simple decision on my own. Yes, you can, and I'm going to teach you. Because these are all misbeliefs and negative opinions that were purposely installed in your head by your abuser to keep you dependent on them. And it's to also keep you disempowered. They don't want you to be empowered. They don't want you to be self-reliable. They want you to depend on them. Just a personal piece of advice: your mind is literally the biggest, most valuable asset that you have. You can learn anything that you want, and you have to believe that. Any topic, any subject, anything, any whatever it is, just know that you absolutely have the capability with your mind to learn about anything that you want. Your mind is the most powerful tool that you have in your life. When you can fix the thoughts and the things that you are feeding your mind, you will notice that you actually have control over the way that you show up in the world, and you'll start to notice that when you shift these things to be positive things about yourself, about your loved ones, about whatever it is you're doing in life, you'll notice a massive positive change across the board in your life. But I'm not joking, and you probably hear this all the time. It genuinely starts within. It starts in here and it starts up here. It starts with you, and you have to be conscious about what you're doing. Healing is not just a couple of episodes of this and a couple of days writing in a journal and maybe 3 days meditating here or there. Healing is a lifestyle. I don't want to say the word healing. Maybe I should use a different word. I guess maybe just self-development, self-improvement, self-love is a lifestyle. It's not just something that you do a couple of times and then you're fixed. It is a conscious and active effort of making sure you're still doing these things every single day, showing up for yourself. That's the only way positive change is going to happen in your life. Anyway, back to the misbeliefs. When you notice a misbelief pop up, you have to acknowledge it. If you've got a journal or a piece of paper or a pen, I want you to write it down. Write down the misbelief that you have so it's out of your brain and onto the piece of paper in front of you. Some common ones, even ones that I used to believe and think myself, are like, I am not worthy of love. I always make bad decisions. And once they are out and down on the piece of paper, that you can see it and visualize it, it's time to then question the belief. Ask yourself, is this really true? Where did this come from? Who was the first person that I heard this from? And then you have to look for evidence that completely contradicts it. For example, you may believe, oh, I make terrible decisions. Then it's your job to look back on any other time that you actually made a good decision and write it down. List as many of them as you can and think back like as far as you need, because positivity and positive self-belief and positive outcomes does not have an expiry date. However long it's been, write it down. Now you have to reframe the belief entirely. You have to write down your original misbelief and then flip it. Write down the exact opposite of that original misbelief. You have to replace the negative belief with a positive one. Completely flip it on its head and write the opposite of it. I don't care how uncomfortable it makes you feel. That's good. It's making something shift. For example, if you did write something like, I'm not worthy of love, the opposite of that would be, I am worthy of great love and capable of receiving love. I am worthy of genuine love and respect. And continue down the list. What other negative beliefs that misbeliefs that you had, continue down by reframing them with the opposite of all of them. Again, I don't care how uncomfortable you feel doing it, do it. Once you have written all the positive ones down, you need to make sure that this is something that you can read and repeat to yourself every single day. Every day. Eventually, at first, you're going to feel uncomfortable. The inner critic in your mind is going to go, this is not true. This is not true. Eventually, when you just keep going, you're going to believe it. These are your affirmations. But like I said before, this is not a season. This is a lifestyle change of how you're going to be showing up for yourself. So you need to consciously be aware of the things that you're saying about yourself, the things that you're feeling about yourself, the things that you're thinking about yourself, because your body and your brain doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's not. So when you can program your mind to believe these positive things, your body will naturally follow suit. The hardest part is going to be catching it in real time. It's like, it can be quite hard because you really need to make the conscious decision. And ultimately, this only comes after you have absolutely had it. I've noticed that in everyone that I've seen that's sort of really strong and positive self-improvement and self-love, self-healing, whatever you want to call it, journey, even a spiritual journey, if that's what you want to call it, all of them, like all the people that I know that are doing it and that have done it, and even myself included, the hardest thing at first was paying attention in real time of what you're thinking and feeling. So your feelings are actually the indicator of your thoughts. And you have to focus on feeling good. This isn't to like dismiss when you're not feeling good, but it's key to pay attention to why you're not feeling good. You could just be doing something completely random, like making a cup of coffee, and all of a sudden you're like, 5 minutes ago I was feeling good, and now that I've made a coffee and, you know, done all this, and now I'm sitting down over here, I actually feel negative. That's your cue to think back on what was my train of thought that got me there, because your emotions are led by your thoughts. And that's why it's important to take control of your thoughts, to make sure that you're thinking good things to make you feel good. And when you feel good, you take inspired action. And when you take inspired action, you're doing things that are going to have a positive outcome to your life, I guess, and whatever it is you're focusing on. So once you've listed your positive affirmations and you're practicing them, now it's time to continue to put them into action. You have to start by slowly taking the steps that are aligning to the positive affirmations that you've written about yourself. If, let's say for an example, one of them you wrote down is, I make good decisions, or I make healthy decisions. Now you've got to take the steps in your life that align with that affirmation, that align with that belief. This could be something as simple as making the conscious choice of what to eat that day, what you're going to wear that day, how much water you're going to hydrate yourself with, what music you're planning to listen to today. Is it going to be a sad playlist that reminds you of all the bad things you've ever gone through? Or maybe you're going to try some new genre of music that actually might make you feel different and create new memories. And any small change and step and conscious decision that you make followed by that action, celebrate it. I don't care how small it is. If you have been saying to yourself that you really want to have a salad, and the past week you haven't had a salad, and you finally have a salad, celebrate it. I did it. I did it. The thing about life and creating a positive experience and a positive outlook and a positive attitude is celebrating life. Life is amazing if you believe that it's amazing. It truly, truly all comes down to you and your outlook on it. And when you can celebrate these small wins, it's going to 100% help your self-confidence. Again, it does not have to be this big, massive goal of like, oh, I need to get like a $10,000 pay rise. It does not have to be so that feels so large to start with. It literally, give yourself permission. And if you can't give yourself permission, I'm giving you permission. No matter how small it seems, I want you to do it and celebrate it. Even if this is as little as, I want to spend 1 hour reading one of my books. I want to spend 1 hour coloring in an adult coloring in book, or not even. If you then make the time to do it and you actually follow through with it, celebrate it. Be like, I am so glad that I actually took that time and executed that time for myself, and I deserve it. I said I was going to do something and I did it. That is going to help your self-confidence immensely. The next step to regaining your autonomy is one that I find that a lot of people struggle with, including myself. Like, even sometimes this is still hard for me. And that is setting boundaries. Yes, I know, empaths and really over-forgiving people, we really struggle with this because we are people pleasers. We want to keep everybody else happy. And then unfortunately, when we don't have boundaries and we're constantly overextending ourselves to other people and not putting ourselves first at all, it actually does more damage than good, because this leads you to burnout. This leads you to resentment of the people in your life you haven't set boundaries with. And ultimately, it all just comes down to yourself. So this is why setting the boundaries is really, really important. All a boundary is setting limits in your life for people to know what is acceptable for you and what is completely off limits. Without having personal boundaries, this is what makes it so easy for abusers to infiltrate into your life. And not only that, it makes it really easy for you to accidentally and fall back into the patterns of allowing other people to control your time and your autonomy and your decision making. So how do you set a boundary? Firstly, identify your limits. Think back to any time that made you physically feel uncomfortable. What made you just go, I did not like that. Even if you didn't express it and the people that you were with or around don't know it, you know inside that didn't make me feel good. I wish I didn't do that. I wish I didn't say that. I wish I didn't go there. Those sort of things. That's where a boundary needs to be put. For an example, if somebody is always demanding your time, let's say they are texting you all the time and this makes you feel overwhelmed, that is your body signaling to you there needs to be a limit here. Something needs to happen here to prevent this, and it's up to you to set that limit. So once you've gone through the things in your life that you have been uncomfortable, it doesn't even matter who it is with in your life. If you've got a couple of them, you got a couple of them. Take the time to really reflect. Again, I'm going to recommend a journal and writing all of this down so it's out of your brain and it's out in front of you. And again, when you're writing, it just slows down that thought process and helps you think about these things better. But once you've found the limits and you've set the boundary, now it's time to have 30 seconds of courage, because it's time to actually communicate that and to communicate it clearly. So when you're expressing setting a boundary with the people in your life, firstly, think about it this way. It's always coming from love from with yourself and love with them, because you want to maintain a relationship with them. And the way that you're setting a boundary is literally just you protecting that relationship, because you don't want to be having those negative feelings or thoughts about them, and you don't want to resent them for all these things. And how does somebody know what your boundaries are if you haven't communicated them to them? One of my favorite things to get through anything that I feel nervous about is I say this little mantra to myself, and that is just, it just takes 30 seconds of courage. Once you hit that 30 seconds, you naturally, the ball just starts rolling and you're like, oh, this isn't so bad. And then you can just keep going. So I like to say in my head, whenever I'm about to do something that requires me to be brave, it just takes 30 seconds of courage. That's it. And if you struggle to think like, okay, but how do I actually communicate the boundary? What do I actually say? This is easy. No, sorry. I should say this is simple, not easy, because it does take practice. But the best way that I've found is when you come across by setting your boundaries by using I statements, you're putting yourself, it's on you. It's not accusatory. It's not on them. So for an example, if you are with somebody and you come home from work and you just want to relax and you're overwhelmed, but they come and they're just like yappa yappa yappa, and you're like, oh my God, and you just get overwhelmed and anxious maybe. The best way to do lay a boundary can be as simple as this. I need some time after work to just relax and recharge because I feel overwhelmed. Now that sounds so much better than you saying, every time I come home, you just overwhelm me so much. Even though that may be how you feel and what you want to say, you're going to get a way better outcome when you do it the first way. I promise. Again, actually, I can't promise that, because if they're an abuser, I'm just talking about people in your life in general when you set a boundary. An abuser, unfortunately, will constantly try and push your boundaries. So I can understand why that second statement of you always do this, yeah, that feels better maybe. But pay attention, again, abusers, they want to cross your boundaries and they will cross your boundaries. So pay attention to how many times you're having to try and reinforce your boundaries, because people that love, care, and respect you don't want to cross your boundaries. They will respect them, and it's not going to take you 100,000 times of repeating yourself until they wear you down so that your boundaries actually go away. That's not a safe person for you. Now, I totally get that your emotions can be really hard to try and control at first, because again, they're emotions. We're human. We're not always going to get it right. But if you can just really slow down and consciously think about the words that you're using to get these things across, I promise you it's going to make all of the difference. They seem like really small things, but they make the biggest impact. They really do. Next is you have to be consistent with them. With your boundaries, you have to be consistent. Why would anyone take your boundaries seriously if you don't even take your boundaries seriously? Why would anyone respect your boundaries if you don't respect your boundaries. So you need to say them and you need to stand by them. It's only up to you to reinforce them every time you feel like they're being crossed. No one else is going to do it for you. It's totally up to you. An example may be, let's say you have told your friend, I do not want to have any phone calls after 7 p.m. because I'm just so tired. Actually, you don't even need to give a reason. Sorry. Look, see, I'm still learning. But see, I caught myself in real time. This is the trick. Okay. If one of your boundaries needs to be, I don't want to have any phone calls after 7 p.m. and your friend keeps trying to call you a week later and it's 8 o'clock, remind them, I do not answer the call after this time. We can talk tomorrow. There is nothing wrong with having a boundary. I feel it's like, oh, but like seriously? No. Whatever the boundary is, stand by it. It doesn't make you a bad person for putting yourself first. Of course, don't hurt other people. There's no don't generalize the things I'm saying. I'm just saying your boundaries are important for your self-confidence, your self-worth, the relationship with yourself. You need to respect yourself by maintaining these boundaries. Now, practical tips in everyday life that are going to help you keeping your boundaries is things like practicing saying no. I know. Breathe with me. Saying no is something like if you've come out of a controlling and abusive relationship, chances are the word no is just not even an option for you, which is really unfortunate because that is just a basic human right. And no is a full sentence. You don't need to say no and then list off all your reasons as to why you're saying no. No means no, period. Now, saying no, like I mentioned before, depending on like the type of controlling relationship you've been in or dynamics, even in like a toxic family dynamic, a parent, maybe a sibling, maybe a friend, practice saying no in normal everyday situations that are like obviously at a lower stake. Saying no in little situations is naturally going to build your confidence to say no to more things, ultimately leading you to have the confidence to say no to the really big things that you are watching this video trying to learn how to say no to. You got to practice small. Practice makes not perfect, no such thing as perfect, but just practice, because practice will make you feel better and it will improve whatever skill you're trying to have. And if that skill is learning how to say no, start small. So once you have handled your misbeliefs, you've got your positive affirmations going, you're saying them all the time, the next thing is to actually start making these decisions independently. This part is the key aspect of regaining your autonomy. After being in a controlling and abusive relationship, you naturally don't believe that you are capable of making decisions, no matter what the decision is. And specifically, if you've come from like a abusive relationship with a narcissist, the actual real physical brain damage that happens to you, your cortisol levels are so high for such a prolonged period of time, it actually causes brain damage and it affects your cognitive abilities. Like it genuinely makes you feel like choosing what to eat is one of the hardest decisions ever. It makes you feel like, I don't know if I should drive this way home or this way home. Every decision feels huge and it feels huge. And it just feels like whatever decision you make is going to be a bad decision. And this is because an abuser like that has programmed you to feel that way so that you constantly are turning to them for your decisions, because you make a decision, it's a bad decision. They will berate you for it. They will belittle you for it. Why did you make that choice? Why did you say this? Why did you choose that one? Nothing is good enough. And they do this strategically so that you are dependent on them, so that you don't feel capable to make independent decisions. Because guess what decision they don't want you to make? They don't want you to make the decision of, I'm going to leave you. So how can they prevent that? They're going to knock down that ability in you, and they start small. They start with the little decisions that you make, and then ultimately you just stop making the big decisions. You leave it completely up to them. This is why I'm here to help you, because I bet you don't even, some people, I didn't even know this was a thing. And these are all things that I have had to work out completely on my own. And they're things that I don't see other people talking about enough. That's why I'm here today sharing with you how to actually take these back into your control so that you can live a fulfilling life. These are all the little things that you need to work on. Now, these I find can be really fun. I want you to go into making all of these changes in your life like an exciting thing. It's an exciting step. You have to be kind with yourself. Don't feel like you're failed because you haven't been able to make a decision, or you do make a decision, you're not happy with it. Just let it go. You've always got the next moment to try again. But start small. Start with little things. Like I began with, I'm not even joking. These were things like when I went to put fuel in my car, when I would go into this, like the service station to go and pay, I would consciously, without me just rushing in and out, because again, believing I'm on a timer, I made the effort to go, I'm actually going to pick myself out a little treat. I'm going to peruse. I'm really going to go through and have a look and find something that 7-year-old Chenise enjoyed. And I remember I bought a Hubba Bubba. I bought like it was a grape flavored Hubba Bubba chewing gum, and it was the roll one, not the actual guy. It was like the swirly. I can't explain it. It was, you know what it is? It's like that one where you open it. It's like a big roll, and you can just like eat it. I made the effort to make that choice to have it, and I was thrilled. It was like that was the highlight of my day when I began my rebuilding my autonomy journey. I was like, I feel great. I feel empowered. And to somebody that doesn't understand like why this would make me feel that way, consider yourself lucky that you've been in that you haven't had that amount of control over your mind. It is terrifying. I've spoken about this. But yes, things like that, starting small, doing these little choices are really going to help, because then the next day you try something new. You remember that even just like you will remember that feeling. I still remember that feeling now. You just probably saw how I lit up talking about that experience. That happened like 8 or 9 months ago. And I can still remember that feeling of I made it. I made the choice. And I feel empowered. I feel empowered picking out Hubba Bubba. How is that? Now, let's say it's something like a bit bigger. Let's say you want to make a decision to start a new hobby. Now, that may feel like such a big choice because you're like, I don't know where to start. I don't have the equipment. I don't know where to go. I don't have the money, whatever it is. What you can do to support yourself in that sort of level of a choice is gather all the information that you need. What supplies do you need for this new hobby? Do you need to go to an art store? Is it painting? Is it drawing? Can you watch tutorials on YouTube of how to do it? Do you want to go to Pilates, but you're not really sure about, maybe I shouldn't sign up and have the investment yet? Maybe you can just look at, okay, well, what do I need? Do I need a yoga mat? Where can I buy a really cheap one? Can I watch videos, again, on YouTube of how to get into it to help you feel confident before you go to a class? Gather all the information about the choice that you're wanting to, like the decision that you're wanting to make, so that way it alleviates the stresses of the unknown of, I don't know what's around the corner. I don't know if it's going to be a good decision. Gather your information. This will also just help you feel like you've made an informed decision as well, and not a really reckless or impulsive one, because you'll feel like, well, I've got all the information in front of me. Now I can make my choice. Now, once you've decided on your decision, weigh out the pros and the cons, because if you're still feeling anxious about your choice, listing out, again, write it down. Listing out the pros and cons of this like potential decision that you're trying to make is going to help you visualize whether you feel personally like it's worth it. Now, especially because your mind hasn't been trained in this way to make your decisions and feel confident about them, writing out your pros and cons is really going to help you clarify your thoughts, stay focused on what it is you're trying to decide, and it's going to make the entire decision-making process feel more structured. Now, the next step is my favorite, and that is to simply trust your instincts. Now, again, at first, this will feel really, really tricky because you're not sure, am I just anxious or is this a gut instinct? But also, just having a positive mindset about it, that's also the fun of it. Really getting to like relearn yourself. okay, that was just me being anxious. No, this is definitely a gut feeling. Listening to your intuition is going off by your previous experiences, just really remembering through your own knowledge on the last time I felt like this and I ignored it, things didn't turn out too well. So this time it feels very similar. I'm going to listen to my intuition. When you learn how to retrust your intuition, it naturally helps guide you into the right choices that are going to be the ones for you. If a choice just feels right deep down, it is. If it doesn't feel right, if alarm bells are going off and something is making you listen to it. Listen to yourself. Trust yourself. Last but not least is to accept imperfection. Accept that whatever decision you do make, big or small, nothing is guaranteed to work out exactly how you'd like it to. Accept imperfection. No decision is perfect because ultimately no decision is ever final. It's like a butterfly effect. You make one decision that leads you to another decision. None of them are perfect. And I'll tell you this as well. It is okay to make mistakes. It is okay to make a decision and it didn't work out or something went wrong. It's okay. A mistake is a mistake. And the good thing is, now that you're out of your abusive relationship, no one's going to punish you for it. So you have to stop punishing yourself for it. Okay? It's all right. The world didn't end. Some other little practical tips that I did to help me with my decision making, like rebuilding that skill of decision making, was even just setting the time to allocate me being able to think about the decisions. I've had to make some pretty big decisions, but I couldn't have made them if I didn't allow myself to, I'm going to think about that later. I'm not going to let that consume my entire day when I can't do anything about it right now. So when you can write it down, write it in your calendar, whatever, if you can just go, I'm going to think about this at that time and schedule it for yourself later, it's going to help you calm down and also prepare you as well, because you've given yourself permission for, I'm going to do that later. Another practical tip is just limiting your options. If there's too many things that you've got, too many decisions that you're trying to make, again, I'm going to tell you, make a list, write them down, limit them. Like eliminate the ones that you feel are not really a priority for you, ones that can kind of wait till later, but the ones that you have a feeling for, that you feel like you need to do them, prioritize those ones and then just save the rest for later. Another practical tip to help you feel like you are regaining that autonomy is to seek advice, but make your final decision on your own. Now, some people, you have to pick very wisely who you're choosing to like get your advice from, because I know that some people are like, why'd you ask me for advice if you're not even going to take it? I asked you for advice because I wanted an opinion to just like counteract with mine, first of all. But just be careful of that, because sometimes that can trigger you back into feeling like, oh, okay, well, I'll make their decision and their advice because otherwise they're going to be upset with me, or otherwise they're going to be angry that I didn't take their advice. No, this is where the power of regaining your autonomy really comes into play, because it's up to you to make your final decision. Okay, you have the power to do it. Believe me, I believe in you. You can do it. Just remember that making decisions is a skill that improves with repetition, just like any other skill that you have. These personal skills inside are things that not many people get taught by others to even do. This is why it's important to try your best to learn about them and implement them in your life. I'm going to say this, just read books, please. Please read books. You don't need to drown yourself in self-development, but definitely when you can, learn, please. The only way you're going to be able to help yourself is by learning. And I just hope that even if you are not a reader, you can listen to an audiobook of the things that you wish you could read. Listen to people that have read the things that you wish you could read. Like, you don't necessarily have to be a reader, but I just really want to encourage everybody who watches my stuff to always be learning. Always be learning. Like, it's literally going to just improve your life, improve your self-confidence. It's going to improve every relationship in your life. It's going to improve how your relationship with yourself. It's going to improve how you show up at work, how you show up in just the everyday life. Like, learning about yourself and these skills and psychology and your mind, trust me, just please. Like, this is like some big sister advice. Learn, never stop learning. And again, I'll remind you, celebrate every decision that you make on your own independently. I don't care how little it is. I don't care if it's the Hubba Bubba or the Fanta from the servo. I want you to celebrate it because, and I don't care how crazy you look. I don't care if people around you are like, why are they so like thrilled about this? Ignore them. I don't care because no one knows the depth of control that you have been in previously. Nobody knows the actual work that you're putting in to improve yourself and your life. Celebrate it. I want you to be your biggest cheerleader. And even if you can't be your biggest cheerleader right now, just know that I'm cheering for you. I'm cheering for you. I know you can do it. Celebrate every single thing that you can do on your own. Over time, once you have repeated all of these little practical skills and steps, you'll find that these things will become second nature to you. And actually, depending on how serious you are about this, you'll be surprised at how quickly it becomes second nature to you and how independent you become very, very quickly. And then when you trust yourself and you can look back at the progress that you have been making, it just further empowers you to create and live the life that you really want. It's going to lead you to actually live the life that's aligned with your values, your morals, your desires. Okay, the next is once you've done all the thinking about your decision and thinking about the things that you're wanting to do, the next is to actually pursue your personal interests and hobbies. It's time to get into action. It's time to actually go out into the world and do the things that you have been wanting to do. It's time to do the things that you've been sitting there writing out your pros and cons about. I love this step because this is really where the fun begins in rediscovering yourself and having fun and playing and meeting new people and just having a really good time with it. You may have noticed that somewhere along the lines in your abusive relationship, controlling relationship, whatever you want to call it, that you completely stopped pursuing the things that you were interested in. You may have noticed that you completely neglected your passions and your desires and probably your dreams and your goals. But give yourself a break because, again, abusers purposely do this to you. They manipulate you and they control you with coercion to stop doing those things. So by rediscovering them and taking the time to actually go and do these things is really, really going to ignite your passion, and it's also going to reignite your sense of purpose and joy. Now, these steps to even work these out are really simple as well. Firstly, look back to the things that you enjoyed when you were a child. Again, I'm going to tell you, get out the piece of paper, write down all the things that you remember you used to enjoy. I don't care if you feel like they're childish or you've outgrown them. No such thing. No such thing. Anything that brings you joy is not childish. If you used to enjoy, I'm just going to go back to the things that I can speak about firsthand, like coloring in. I used to really love coloring in as a child. And then what I did, this is while I was still in my controlling relationship, I actually made the effort to make the decision to go and buy an adult coloring in book. And I made the decision to I'm going to buy some nice pencils for myself to enjoy coloring in. And I did that. And it was great. It really fulfilled me. And I just felt like I was really nurturing that part of myself that hadn't been nurtured in so long. Again, write out the ones that you remember you enjoyed and then make the process fun. Look forward to getting the equipment that you need. Look forward to like researching the things that you want to do with it, or like really just, I'm going to totally encourage you to have fun with it. It's a positive experience. You're going to have so much fun. Then once you have figured out the things that you may be interested in like re-pursuing or even new ones, set your small and achievable goals with them. Let's say you decide that one of your interests is, I actually want to get back into yoga. Again, I'm speaking from like my personal experience. Let's say one of your ones is, I really want to get into yoga. I really want to get into Pilates. I really want to go to the gym, but you feel like signing up to a Pilates class or signing up for a gym membership and then going to the gym and then having to make sure that you feel confident enough to show up there. You don't need to start that big. You can literally start by setting smaller and achievable goals. Let's just start with doing 10 minutes of a workout a day. 10 minutes, 20 minutes in the comfort of your own home. Even if you used to play soccer as a kid and you want to play soccer again, start by just getting a soccer ball and kicking around your backyard if you can. Small goals. Start small, work your way up. The next is to just explore completely new interests entirely. Don't put yourself in a box. Just because you have never done tennis before and you think, oh, I'm not a tennis person, why not? Why not? Who says? Who says? The best part about life is you can just completely change. You can completely be a new person if you want. You can be the person that does play tennis. You can be the person that goes to a pottery class every Wednesday night. Why not? Just because you've never done it before and you feel like you don't fit into that box, again, I'm giving you permission. Yes, you can. If there is an interest there, if there is a desire there, it's there for a reason. Go for it. Give yourself permission. These are really fun because you're going to notice you might actually be great at this new skill if you just give yourself a chance. Give yourself a chance. Now, these sort of things may feel like imposter syndrome at first. I want you to get that word out of your head. I hate imposter syndrome because it's just like this limiting, I believe like it's just this limiting word of like, oh, imposter syndrome. Why imposter syndrome? When you're learning something new and you're doing something new, of course you're going to feel uncomfortable. Of course you're going to feel like I don't belong. But I promise you that even if, let's say like you want to sign up to a dancing class and you feel like an imposter syndrome because you're like, wow, I have not danced before. I have no idea. I don't know the first thing, but everyone in the class is like on season 12 in there. They didn't start season 12. Everybody started somewhere, and you should be really proud of yourself for even giving something a go. Not everyone does this, believe it or not. Next is, I also love doing these, is creating a vision board. I have a lot of vision boards on my phone. Like I keep them very digital. But if you wanted to print them out and actually make a proper vision board, I'm going to tell you to do this. It is so empowering having a dream lifestyle or a dream thing, a dream hobby, whatever it is that you can see, because it programs your mind to follow actions that are going to lead you to those things that you desire. Now, the fun part about it is you get to go on Pinterest or whatever it is and just completely peruse. You build your dream life. Include things that make you feel good. Include things that make you feel inspired. Quotes, affirmations, pictures, whatever it is. Add them to your vision board. When you see your vision board, it's going to help you feel inspired and motivated and empowered. And it's going to be always in your subconscious mind of, those are the things that I want. This is what I want out of life. And you're naturally going to find yourself making choices that align with having that outcome in your real life. Now, just like scheduling the time for making your decisions, you need to schedule the time for your new interests and hobbies. You have to treat this as a non-negotiable. Whatever it is, you need to put this on the very top of your priority list, because I promise you it's going to help you. And when you block out the time in advance for yourself, this is going to help alleviate any of the feelings of guilt that you're probably most likely going to experience, because when you have to rebuild your autonomy, it's basically just taking the time back for yourself. And when you've been in a controlling relationship or an abusive relationship where they do control your time and autonomy, they make you feel guilty for doing anything on yourself, for doing anything by yourself and for yourself. So when you can schedule the time in advance, it kind of tricks your brain into thinking, I've already booked this in. This is a thing. This is happening. And then it also gives you something to look forward to, which is another positive aspect of it. Now, those are all the essential things that I personally did to start rebuilding my autonomy. And I hope that it probably reflects in how I show up even online and in the world now, that it's something that I have definitely improved on. And I can, like I said before in the beginning of the video, it's a lifestyle. Doing all of these things to improve yourself is a everyday conscious effort. So I hope that all the tips that I've shared with you today, that you find useful, and I really want you to do them. They sound easy. I'm not going to say they're easy. They're simple, not easy. You need to do them one step at a time. But personally, I didn't know that, or like this was even a thing until I had obviously left my abusive relationship. And it happened, I remember the specific moment of me realizing what I was feeling. And I had dropped my daughter off with my mother. I've got a 3-year-old little girl. For anyone that doesn't know, I'm a mum. I had dropped my daughter off to be in the care with my mum while I went to do some grocery shopping. And I was in the grocery store and I was rushing. I was completely just like flustered and checking the time all the time. I'm like, oh my God, I've been here for, 15 minutes already. Like, and I haven't got this and I haven't got this. And it was just like this constant rush. I was zooming up and down these aisles and I was just like, okay, okay. And I was just like, hang on. And then I'm not even joking you, a song played over like the speakers, and it was this song. I found out what it's called now. It's Bubbly by, I think her name's Colby Calliot or something like that. And the lyrics that literally caught my attention was, hang on, let me think. It's like da 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 da. Just take your time wherever you go. I'm not gonna sing it because I'm not a good singer, but she literally says, just take your time wherever you go. And it took like my brain to hear that, and in that real time of me in the grocery store running like a headless chicken, to be like, oh. And I just stopped, and I just remember standing there in front. I literally caught this on video. I even put it on my Instagram story when it happened. If I can work out how to insert it here, I will, but I won't promise anything. I remember just standing there like really becoming present, and I just sang and I like danced a little bit along with the song and just really enjoyed it. And I had this moment of like, I'm free, I'm okay, there's no one waiting for me at home to berate me or give me the silent treatment because I forgot something on the grocery list. Oh, I was just like, I'm finally free. I don't have to stress about any of that stuff anymore. No one's waiting at home for me anymore to just be available to do whatever it is that they want anymore. My time is mine. I'm free. I can take as long as I want. If I want to find something new in the grocery store, guess what? I now have the time to do that and no punishment for it. Like, this is what people who have never been in a controlling relationship or an abusive relationship are ever going to be able to understand. I don't expect people to understand the things that I've had to work on and the things that I share. Like, some people are probably going to be like, why is she talking about this? But the people that need to hear it are the people that need to hear it. I feel like a part of me is talking to a previous version of myself. That's kind of how I've decided the things that I need to talk about. What were the things that I was experiencing, needing to learn about, and how can I articulate it in a way that I can share with other people that may be going through the same thing. And hopefully, I mean, this is only my second video. I hope to get better to do these things, and I hope that I can share these little pockets of peace like out there. I hope that my corner of the internet can be somewhere that you find value and validation, and that these things are not like embarrassing. These things are not to be ashamed of, and you're not the only one. Don't compare your journey don't compare where you are on your healing and self-improvement journey to somebody else online just because they may look good or they're having a great day or they're saying like they're sharing some positive quotes. Like, you don't know. You really do not know what people are going through, what they have been through, what steps, even the things that they have really had to identify within themselves to heal. And I just hope that by me sharing all of these things, I can help at least one person. But anyway, after I had really paid attention to, wow, I actually had no idea that I was, feeling these physical reactions of feeling rushed and like nervous and scared and anxious, is because my autonomy was controlled. So later that afternoon, I just remember actively thinking like, what else do I do in life that makes my body react this way? Because as well, like, it's so much deeper than just them like controlling your time and then yelling at you or something. Like, again, specifically with a narcissist, it is mind control. They do it in such ways that they don't even have to physically be there doing it. You're naturally doing what they want because they've programmed your mind to be that way, to think that way, which then in turn makes your body, like chemically, your body is chemically wired to feel and react and behave a certain way, which is not healthy for you, of course. Like this is why it's called abuse. But try and look at it in a way where those can be your warning signals. Those can be your little highlights to you of, hey, something's going on here. You're feeling this way. So, hey, let's identify it. Let's look into it. Let's dig deeper. Of course, do it when you feel safe and ready. Shadow work is like super important for healing as well, by the way. Shadow work is deep. You unpack a lot. It goes really far back. Again, I can make a video about that as well if you're interested in, because it goes deeper than like rebuilding your autonomy, of course. But yeah, okay. So hopefully with all the steps that I've given you about what autonomy is, why it's important for you to rebuild, steps for re-identifying interests that you're into, the decision-making skills, celebrating your small wins, discovering new hobbies and passions, reprogramming those misbeliefs that you had. I hope that all of the things that I've shared with you today can really make you think in your own life of, okay, what steps do I need to take? Where do I need to start? What do I struggle with? And I really hope that at least something that I've shared with you today can be beneficial to you. And just remember that healing is a journey. It is a testament to your strength and your resilience. You are not alone and you never will be alone. And you have the entire power within you to create whatever future that you want. I believe in you. Like always, if you found this video helpful, please let me know. Give it a thumbs up, share it with your friends, pop in the comments if you feel comfortable with it. I want to hear from you, whether it be publicly, privately, whatever it is. I would love to hear from you. And don't forget, of course, to subscribe so that you don't miss any more videos on how to actually heal. Thank you so much for watching. And just remember that knowledge is power. And you have the strength to overcome anything that you go through. If I can do it, so can you. Don't forget to check out my other socials. My handle is the same across everything. I'm super, super active everywhere else. Stay educated and stay safe. Most ardently, Chenise Sinclaire. That's a wrap, baby. Love you. Mwah. I haven't had a sip of coffee this entire time. My mouth is dry.